Welcome back. I'm Tammy Pescatelli with Ray Zawadney, and you have tuned into News from Abroad.
It's a good story you got here today.
And we're sending our love to Colin Chamberlain, who's normally with us. He can't make it this week. Take a look at this shirt. Bat Boy from the Weekly World News. This is one of the most famous things that they had. Bat Boy. These are available on their site. Do you know that Bat Boy is running for president? Right.
I mean, I think he has a good chance.
This week, the Weekly World News has some fun things. You know, they started a Kickstarter campaign. I'll put that link there because they want to come back to hard print. But they have an article about Putin sings Kremlin to release a pop album. Then there's another article, 2 well-digging brothers discover an underground empire. Professors to get tenure into the afterlife. You really can't fire them. But my article this week, this one comes all the way from New Jersey, but I don't want to spoil it. So shall we just get into it, Ray?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This is called News from Abroad, as brought to you by the Weekly World News. The actual New Jersey Devil protests the hockey team for the name change. This past week outside the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, it was chaos. The home of the National Hockey League's New Jersey Devil was packed with fans, although this time those fans were not there to see the past Stanley Cup champions. They were actually there to see the actual New Jersey Devil. Coming out of the shadows, this legendary creature led a protest to implore the hockey team to change their name.
It's been years since they had a championship season, and they are tarnishing the New Jersey Devil name. People are associating me with all of their debauchery and failure. You know, not all publicity is good publicity,
said a winged, exasperated New Jersey Devil.
After I got out of rehab this last time, I made a conscious decision to change my ways and get with the times. Why can't they? The hockey team is still terrorizing people every hockey season, and it's sullying my reputation.
Long gone is a centuries-old livestock terrorizing infant stealer, and in its place is a kinder, gentler, mythical beast.
I'm a beast? You have obviously never watched The Real Housewives of New Jersey. One of them is my neighbor, and her scream can curdle my blood. I've complained to our HOA.
Well, what about the creature who was known to eat entire families and steal souls?
I'm a vegan now. Who needs the cholesterol problems? Soul sucking? I replaced it with Soul Cycle. I figured if I am going to be immortal, I might as well be healthy. And after a couple of 100 years, my tail doesn't sit up as high as it used to.
These changes are just a part of the reason why the famous folklore antagonist of the Cloven Hooves wants the hockey team to consider a name change.
The New Jersey NHL team needs to move into the 21st century. I am the only one of my kind, and they are spitting on my history. Calling them devils is a one-dimensional perspective that perpetuates an archaic, patriarchal hysteria.
After reminding the New Jersey Devil that he did do all those things.
Well, my life coach told me I was the author of my own story. So from now on, you can call me NJD. It's my rap name, the Notorious Jersey Devil. My new single, Urban Legend, it drops next week. Get it? Urban Legend.
An online petition supporting the name change of the hockey team at time of press has been signed by 206 people.
I don't understand why we aren't getting more signatures. It's not like you have sign in blood anymore.
Chuckled NJD. Wonderful, Raymond. Wonderful job. You did a great job. I love how he had a little bit of a lisp. Who would have thought that a mythical creature that has terrorized people for centuries has a speech impediment?
Well, the devil's kind of scary, so I just turned into like a Harvey Fierstein character there.
I loved it. I love it. And it's I really did not know when we started this how great you were at voices. So I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about NJD. The New Jersey Devil is truly, truly one of America's oldest folklore legends. It's got a couple varied stories. As I did the research in this is what I like to call a shallow dive, because we're not doing deep dives here.
Yeah.
I found out that there's a couple different versions, but basically started in the 1700s, early 1700s. It all kind of starts at this place and then it branches off. There was a woman named Mother Leeds, and she was a Quaker woman, and apparently she had 12 children, the legend goes. And on her 13th pregnancy, it was so painful, she cursed the child, saying, let it be the devil. And that's where the legend splits, because one version says that she actually gave birth to a winged, cloven hoof, tail child that immediately flew up, spun around the room, ate her, ate the nursemaids, ate all the children. There's another one where it says that she had the baby and she was so angry because she had 13 children, she put it in the basement and fed it food and treated it horribly. And over time, it developed into this winged-like creature and then began to terrorize people. So, I mean, it's really kind of based in pregnancy.
Well, I feel like, though, if you have 13 children, one is bound to have some type of hooves or wings.
Right.
I mean, that's just the product of my grandfather had 10 kids, and his last two are kind of like the bad apples of the family, and he always just said, man, I wish I would have stopped at 8. That was the product of overbreeding. So.
Well, that's the truth, right? That back then they had a ton of kids because they had to work and they had nothing else to do, quite frankly. Like they had no birth control, there was nothing else to do. And the more kids you had, and they actually did like a law of attrition, because they assumed that if you had 13 births, some would not make it.
True.
Some would die. And by the way, back then, as I've been reading about this, when you had a child that maybe died in childbirth or had some kind of deformity, if you will, they blamed the devil. One of the things that always shocked me about this as I was looking at it is that there have been sightings from the 1700s all the way up until as recently as 2015. One of the most famous sightings was Napoleon Bonaparte's brother. He was on a hunting expedition in the winter, and he saw a trail that looked like cloven hooves, but it was bipedal, because that's what they say that the New Jersey Devil is. Everything that I saw. Did you see it as well? Like,
yeah, it looks like it would be. It's very top heavy. Like it would kind of be easy to, push this thing over, kick its ass. Like it's not structurally sound. It looks like a skinny dinosaur in all the pictures. Like the actual mascot of the Devils is kind of like, looks like a Disney character, but
right.
This thing looks freaky.
10,000 signatures named the New Jersey Devils. There's a lot of mythical creatures as names for things. Let's see. There's the Decorah Trolls. There's the Albuquerque Chupacabras. That's the Spanish name for werewolf. Vermont Lake Monsters.
So how much do you buy into this kind of stuff? Do you think that there might be somebody like a New Jersey Devil or some type of creature people are seeing?
I don't necessarily think it's a devil, but I don't think that it would be so lost to think that it could be some holdover from prehistoric age. I mean, things more that something could evolve and we haven't seen yet. But what about those giant fox bats in the Philippines? Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, hold on, I got to show you this.
Well, there was a guy here that I read shot what he thought was the New Jersey Devil, and then people said that they saw it resurrected.
Well, that's one of the problems that gave it a lot. There was an admiral in the Navy years ago, like in the late 1700s or early 1800s. They shot at it during an exercise outside of Fort Dix with a cannonball, and it got hit by a cannonball, and then they couldn't find it. So, but once the military gave it resonance, then
Yeah.
it had to be looked at. You want to kill yourself? Look at this. This is a giant fox bat.
Oh.
That's the Philippines. That's the Philippines. Look, even if the other one, that's real.
Oh my God.
Yeah, take a look at those if you want to be scared of things that go bump in the night. It's a little bit crazy. I believe that there are things that we just haven't discovered yet. And people go, well, New Jersey's mostly taken over. Yeah, but there's also the Pine Barrens that are pretty,
Yeah.
and deep. It's like the swamps in Florida. There was a thing in the 1980s. One of the attacks was there was a farmer who had a lot of pigs. What do you call a pad of pigs, a flock of pigs,
A bunch of pigs.
a gaggle of pigs, a bunch of pigs.
Yeah.
And when he came out, they were all dead, but they had claw marks on their back, and their brains had been bashed by like a hard beak, like cracked
Oh my
like an egg,
God.
and their brains had been eaten out.
This was in the 80s?
Did it in the 80s. So people were like, it had to be the New Jersey Devil. I mean, very few things can crack your skull. An eagle could crack your skull. A vulture could probably, but vultures don't necessarily eat live things. They usually
Live pig.
to be dead. Because obviously some people think this is superstitions. Are you superstitious about anything?
I am extremely superstitious. I come from a very superstitious family, but it's all really based on gambling.
Okay.
Where my grandmother, and I don't know if I feel like I might have told you this before, but every time there's a full moon, she would go out and she would do this weird thing and have me do it with her and like shake her purse at the moon and say, fill it up, fill it up. And it sounds like witchcraft, but she was the luckiest woman I've ever met in my life.
Well, it sounds like witchcraft because it probably was, but it is. I mean, listen, Sicilians have a ton of superstitions. They have a thing called the Maloikia, and you can't, like, if you give someone too many compliments, they're afraid that you're going to get the Maloikia, which is the evil eye, the bad eye. And there are things to do, like, there's a superstition that you're not supposed to see like a dwarf or a little person when you're pregnant. It's supposed to be, I know that's horrible superstition, but it's bad luck. Like there are so many things.
Never heard that dwarf thing in my life.
Oh yeah. But it's a weird thing that Italians would be afraid of a dwarf because my grandfather was only 5'1". What are you afraid of? 2 inches? Like it's so ridiculous, I'm really not superstitious because I'm a Christian, so I try not to buy into those things, but I certainly do the sign of the cross. Like there's superstition, the number 13, which is really where this Mother Leeds New Jersey Devil comes from. But as a Sicilian, I have to tell you, 13 is a lucky number because there were 13 people at the table for the Last Supper.
Oh.
There were 13 people at the table for the Last Supper because it was Jesus and the 12 disciples. So 13. And that's the lucky number there.
Yeah, but after that, it's a lucky number, but it didn't turn out great for old Jesus.
3 days later it did. So it worked out. So they just had to wait 3 days to break that one. Let's see. What else? Stepping out.
Walking under a ladder.
Right, black cats crossing your path. Now maybe I'll use my joke about that this week.
You should.
I'm going to use that joke. But people say it's bad luck to have a black cat cross your path. What else is there that people are superstitious about?
The black cat one's so weird because what if you just own a black cat?
Right, it's going to cross your path daily. So Friday the 13th, people are afraid of that.
Breaking a mirror. Isn't that one? 7
years bad luck, they say, right?
I love how they get their years. If you break them at 7.
7 for sure. There's the playoff beard that was started, they think, by the New York Islanders, but now they all do it. If they're in playoffs, they don't shave. Michael Jordan used to only wear his North Carolina shorts underneath every pair of game shorts. Very famous Sidney Crosby won't call his mom on game days because when he called her on game days, every time for 3 games, he had a busted tooth, dislocated shoulder, and a broken foot. So now he doesn't call her. So Um, so, but I mean, there are a lot of superstitions, like wives' tales too. Like sometimes Plato talked about wives' tales and saying like wives make things up. I guess he was basically calling his wife a liar. So I don't know really what the difference is a little bit, but there's like if you have a gray hair and you pull it, they say 7 more will come into its place. But that's impossible because that's a wives' tale. Because how would the hair know what color it is? Your hair
That's true.
doesn't know what color it is. It's not like it goes, oh, now it's gray. Okay, you want to mess with us?
I told you about the gambling thing with my family, and my dad before a Monday Night Football game just saw a guy that had a artist formerly known as the Redskins tattoo on his shoulder. So my dad was like, all right, I'm putting it all on them. It's an omen that I saw that today before this game. And my dad just lost hundreds of dollars because of what he thought was an omen.
Yeah, gambling has a ton of superstition.
I think the reason that those type of things are made up about gambling is because when you lose your money, you need something physical to be pissed off at that's not yourself.
Right? I think you're right. You're right. And you have to blame somebody. When you're going home and explaining it to your wife why you don't have the rent money, you're like, oh my God, there was a mush that sat next to me. All right, here's a couple. Never say happy birthday too early. In Russia, it's bad luck. Don't place 2 mirrors opposite each other. In Mexico and elsewhere, they say it faces a doorway to the devil. Never stick your chopsticks straight up. Poking chopsticks into your food is a big no-no in Japan. The utensils look like the unlucky number 4, which means death. Wow. Oh, I know this one. Give a penny if you receive something sharp. Italian people do that. If you give someone knives or a set of knives or something, you say, give me a penny. So, and you never give a wallet or a purse empty. You put $1 in there or something.
Oh, wow.
So it always stays full. But
What's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's the wedding one, right? You can't see the bride in the dress before the wedding.
That's right. That's true. But now I realize that's probably just because you're like, I'm locked down for the rest of my life. So
it just might make you run.
Yeah. Let's see. Whistling indoors invites evil. I knew that one. It says, but it's not just, that's an Italian one too. It says in Lithuania, it's forbidden to whistle indoors because the noise is believed to summon demons. A lot of this is like based around demon. And don't cheers with water. That comes from Germany, but that's everywhere, right? They say don't cheers with water. It says, the German superstition says, if you cheers with water, you're actually wishing death upon the people you're drinking with.
Oh, wow.
The idea stems from Greek mythology.
That just sounds like some very severe peer pressure.
Yeah.
You know? They're like, bro, you got to have liquor in there because we're all going to die if you don't.
Well, if you believe in superstitions or the New Jersey Devil, let us know. I can't speak. New Jersey Devil. No wonder he had a speech impediment because you can't even say his name without the New Jersey Devil. In the comments there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we send our best to Colin Chamberlain. Thank you for a great show, Ray. Thanks. You handled it. So, by the way, take a look at the column in the Weekly World News. Bat Boy is there. We have the Kickstarter campaign. I'm Tammy Pescatelli, signing off for Ray Zawadny. This is News from Abroad. Okay, so this is a part of the show that I'm calling Frighteningly Funny. But this is my friend, Josh Blue, who I've known, I think, as long as you've been doing comedy.
Coming up on 20, probably.
Yeah, as long as you've been doing comedy, because I just remember seeing you in Denver and going, oh my God, kid, you have it. Like this is amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then you surpassed me. I'll come open for you. So you know what the theme here. So you said that you had some kind of supernatural.
Well, this one actually happened in Columbus, Ohio. Have you played the Columbus Funny Bone?
Sure, I'm an Ohio girl. I started in Cleveland, started with Columbus. So yeah, I can't wait to hear this.
So you know Laura, in the box office. She's a very dear friend of mine. And one Sunday, she took me to her friend's house. We had a barbecue hanging out. And I had to go do my Sunday show where she's driving me back to the hotel. We're going down the freeway. and over us flies a giant black orb that's being flanked by 2 fighter jets, like a big round ball. And it was like, and I was like, are you fucking seeing this right now? And she was like, yes.
It was in the daytime too, right? Because our shows were like 7, so it had to be daylight.
It was broad daylight. And then here's the part I can't explain. It got to the horizon, and then all of a sudden I could see it in a couple different places at the same time, where it was like there, and it was also there, and also there. It was, again, I have no way to explain this. Everyone I tell it to, I know I sound like a complete lunatic, but you can ask Laura. She saw this shit too.
I believe you, because I actually saw them transporting a UFO one time at like 5 o'clock in the morning when the I mean, it's, there's no other explanation for it. For me, when I hear that you saw it in a bunch of different places, makes me think that there were more than one, and when it got to a certain point, it kind of opened it up, like they were camouflaged. And you know,
it was like, I can only explain it like it was on the same plane, exactly the same distance apart, but like I could see it go down in both directions. Like, how the fuck is it in?
And nobody else talked to you like about it, like those kind of things. Sometimes someone else says that they saw it, or you see it on Facebook. You guys did the research, I'm sure, and no one else.
Well, so then that night after the show, she's driving me home, and there's cloud cover, and the sky lit up electric blue for like, you know, and it was like blue as fuck, and then it went dark, and we're like, what was that now?
Oh my God.
And she went back home and like Googled, like, why did the sky turn blue? And they said a meteor had exploded above the cloud cover. And I'm like, bullshit, because that thing we saw earlier in the day has something to do with that.
And I think they totally cover it up. They tell us something that seems plausible. If you hadn't seen what you guys saw in the first part, you might believe the second part.
Yeah, yo, cool, a meteor blew up. But I was like, no, I've seen meteors. None of them have been electric blue before.
Right. Oh my God, that is the craziest stuff. The hard part is if, God forbid, you were taken, no one would believe us because they would think it was a bit.
Well, I feel like maybe somewhere in my life as a young person, I was taken and given the gift of comedy.
And they tried to give you back. That's what my mother always said. Don't worry about being taken by aliens. They'll bring you back.
Yeah, that's what my mom said. They wouldn't take you.
Did you ever have... My cousin's husband cheated on her, got another woman pregnant, was giving that broad the money is supposed to be given to my cousin for the mortgage in the home where his wife and 2 babies live. Horrible story, right? Absolutely horrible story, right? And I'm driving her around because I didn't know what to do with her after a while. That's what we do with our people that we love that have a heartbreak. You're just like, I can't talk to you anymore. Just get in the car. That's how NASCAR started. Because men sure as shit can't talk heart to heart for very long. They're like, just make a bunch of lefts. Let's just... We're driving around. God reminded me why she's oblivious and why she's my dumb cousin. Because you want to know what happened? A black cat ran in front of our car. And you know what this woman who's going through a divorce, her husband got another woman pregnant, and her house is in foreclosure, said to me, oh my God, now I'm going to have bad luck. What the hell is wrong with you? Your luck sucks so bad that cat's gonna go home and choke himself to death. Because he saw you just fucked it up for the cat.